Here's a story that our old friend Doug would like. Before we get into Donald Trump's claims of thousands of people who stole the New Hampshire election from him.
He'd like that one as well.
A woman named Rosa Maria Ortega has been sent to prison for voting illegally. She will also face certain deportation. Here's why. She was a native of Monterrey, Mexico. She came to Texas with her mother when she was an infant. More than a decade later, the family was scattered after the mother was arrested and deported. Two brothers born in Dallas automatically gained citizenship. Miss Ortega became a permanent resident and gained a green card. This is according to her older brother, Tony Ortega, who's 35. So she brought here as an infant. She would have been eligible for DACA. As a Dallas County resident, she registered to vote and cast ballots in 2012 and 2014. The government forms allowed applicants to declare they are permanent residents, but the voting registration form only asks whether an applicant is a citizen or not. She assumed that her permanent resident status allowed her to vote. There was no option for her to write permanent resident, so she ticked the citizen box. Then the county later mailed her a registration card. She believed she was good to go, having been here for 30 years, more. When she moved to neighboring Tarrant County and registered again, this time she checked a box affirming that she was not a citizen. When her application was rejected in 2015, she called election officials and told them she had previously voted in Dallas County without difficulty. She asked for another application. I don't know what happened in that conversation, but she returned it with a check in the box affirming citizenship. That raised questions. Law enforcement officials arrested her on fraud charges. So she's been arrested, sentenced to 8 years in prison. She's now in Fort Worth, awaiting transfer to a state prison. Her 4 children, ages 13 to 16, are being cared for by siblings and her fiancé, who is a trucker who said her arrest had scotched their plans to get married. The children's fate is unclear. Mr. Sherman lacks legal custody. Her siblings are still debating their options. Now, of course, the far right is touting how this woman who voted in 2012, a presidential election, in 2014 in a statewide election, is an example of one of these permanent residents, I guess, who voted. I don't even know why permanent residents, frankly, don't have the ability to vote, but nevertheless, she voted illegally. She was confused about her status. She then lied about it on the thing, assuming that they just don't give you the option. So for voting purposes, I'm a citizen. Perfect example how Democrats steal elections.
Yep.
But for the problem that in 2012, she voted for Mitt Romney. In 2014, she voted for the current Attorney General, Ken Paxton, a Republican, because she was also a registered Republican.
Double the sentence. I'm just kidding.
Ken Paxton is the one who is putting her to jail for 8 years. They have proved their point. Because this type of, to allow this kind of criminal to roam the streets is a threat to society. Put her away for 8 years. Leave 4 kids without a mom. Incidentally, There was a second fraudulent ballot case in the same area in metropolitan Fort Worth, ended with a probation. But it's Trump time, folks. This is the way you get votes if you're living in a Republican state. Hey, it's Sam Seder. Why don't you subscribe to this channel? You can do so right over here. Subscribe.